It's almost, you've got to be like a joy junkie. Like if you see somebody having fun, you help with that.
Yeah.
You have somebody sharing food, you help with that.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that with we're a Polish family. We do everything with food.
Yeah.
Like, probably not good for our hearts. We've all got heart problems, but it's, you have a bad day, you eat food. It's that whole
it's emotional.
Yeah, it's that what's his name?
It's a comfort.
That Navy SEAL admiral that tell the whole make your bed in the morning.
Goggins or Jocko.
No, we'll have to add him in later. But he's he was an admiral in the Navy SEALs, and his big thing is make your bed. Because at the end of the day, no matter how tough and bad the day will be, you're coming home to a made bed.
Welcome to That BJ Show. This is Ben and I'm Jay, and this is episode 22. And we have a very, very special guest for today, as we do every week. But
very prestigious gentleman in the Townsville hospitality scene, Bart.
just Bart.
Out with it. Ta-da.
Just Bart.
just Bart.
Yeah.
Just Bart.
Yeah. I'll never forget that name because I'm a huge Simpsons fan. Yeah.
I can't watch it.
Because of that?
Because of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you normally share surnames, but my surname's Furst, F-U-R-S-T.
Yeah.
And I had a mate at school that, pencil cases where you slide the letters in, and he swapped the B and the F. And I've been Fart Burst for a very long time.
Yeah.
And my 6-year-old daughter loves The Simpsons, and I just walk out of the room. She's like, "You don't want to watch it with me?" I'm like, "No, I just can't."
Yeah.
Have you met another Bart in your life?
About 6.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
we're going to take over one day.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're coming.
Yeah. Are they all around the same age? Like, how old is Simpsons as a TV series?
Jeez.
Late
How old would
80s?
that even be?
Yeah, I reckon late 80s.
So was it inspired? Because I know, like, when Twilight came out, there's a run of like people naming their babies Jasper or the character from that Twilight
I don't
movie.
reckon. Mum never picked it from that. She picked it. So it's actually Bartholomew. So she's picked a big name for a little surname.
That's a badass name, man.
Yeah,
that's like
Bartholomew.
that's presidential name or something.
It's like and even at school, I remember like year 7, year 8, and you got the substitute teachers.
Yeah.
Like when teachers read out Bartholomew the First.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was like, present.
Yeah.
But the big name, little name, and it's a little tradition we've kept with our kids as well. So they've got big names and little surname on that side. So.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I'm in The Simpsons, but I did meet one Bart who used to work with my father, and he was probably late 50s, and he actually more looked like Homer. So there's probably he could have been the one through.
Yeah.
But it's odd. I remember checking IDs at the front of the pub, and you're like, "Oh, hello, welcome, mate. Hello, Bart. G'day, Bart. Hey, Bart." Like,
It's like that Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then once Boost Juice gave a free boost to Bart's for one day, and fuck did I tell everybody,
Mate.
I was spruiking to the world.
It's funny you
give
say
me
that.
a poison cordial, I've won.
Yeah. My one of my exes always had this thing with Boost Juice on her birthday, or if her name came up, and some of the names that would come up on those, I'm like, there's no one I've ever met with that name.
Yeah.
I've never met another Bart.
Boost Juice Aubrey was banking on the fact that no one was going to get a Boost Juice day, and I just rolled in. And I reckon I went to 3 Boost Juice that day. I was like, I'm keep dishing them out like Santa. Here you go, bang, bang. I was like, oh, this is my day.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
Yeah, and then literally you see that in the little number plates at the souvenir shops.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, my daughter's like, oh, let's go find my name. Thanks for rubbing it in. My wife thinks it's the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah. Because a lot of them have like pens or glasses, or even the teddy bear. Like some news agencies will have like the teddy bears with. Was it always Bart or Bartholomew?
No, there was never them. They were never there.
Yeah.
So it was always. So even my son turns around. He's found an Arlo, and he's in Arlington.
Yeah.
And he's turned around and he's just gone, "Hey, Dad, look, there's one for me." And I just look at my wife. She just thinks she just still bursts into laughter.
Yeah.
Why don't you have one? She goes, "Yeah, Dad, why don't you have one?" It's just this funny little thing that my name's not that common, so you're not going to find it.
Bart, I've never met another Bart. I don't think.
Well, that's interesting though, because like the actual name Bartholomew, that is obviously that's more of like that's a Christian name, right? I think Bartholomew.
Kind of. We're family's Catholic, but we don't really go to church. I think it's more done for school purposes back in the time. But it's a bit of a traditional name. It's my daughter goes to St. Joe's. She told me I'm an apostle, so I was like, yes. I was like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But no, it's something I've. Like, it's just been my name. Like, it is what it is. I've called Fart, Bart, Bort, like everything's there.
Oh, mate, haven't we all? Like, honestly, no matter what your name is, you always get called something stupid. Like my last name is Tester, and I've been called testicles, testes.
Yeah.
The whole, or the, oh, you're a fucking food tester.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, mate.
Oh, all my business partners call me Batson.
Oh, nice.
And Bat, dear boy, like I'll answer the phone, and we could be having a meeting with Lion or with one of our big suppliers, and they'll be like, "Hey, Batty boy," and I'm just like, "Hey, boys."
Yeah.
Firsty. I reckon Firsty or Firsto.
Firsty stuck for a long time.
This is like your Mike Tyson. You're thirsty sort of thing.
Thirsty. But having to spell it all the time because it's F-U-R-S-T. And I remember before I got married with Lourdes, she'd laugh because you'd be going to the bank. Oh, surname's Furst, F-U-R-S-T. No, we want your first name. I was like, no, you have to explain it. And now that we're married, she has to do it. And it's back where I get the payback now.
Yeah.
How do you spell that surname again? Like it's
yes.
But it is much of muches. I've been called worse. I think the worst name I've ever been called at the front of a pub was a jam sandwich.
Jam sandwich.
This drunken guy on a Thursday night, the security guard and I were out the front. He's just like, piss off your jam sandwich, and walked away. And we both looked at each other and we were both like, well, that one actually hurts because I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I still don't.
Yeah.
Still don't know what a jam sandwich is. And that's the only one that, and we sit back and have a laugh at it because we're like I've been called everything under the sun, but this jam sandwich has just sat there and went, oh, he's got me.
Yeah. That's a good one.
He doesn't know the power of what he's done.
What is it?
No idea.
Is it bad? Is it good?
Oh,
was it a compliment?
It was definitely not a compliment at the time.
Compliment?
Absolutely not. No, he wasn't. Yeah, no, he wasn't happy with us for not letting him in. But no, it's just I just remember sitting back thinking, we just looked at each other and we were like, that one actually hurts.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Well, speaking of you working with all these people in hospitality and stuff like that, do you mind sharing what you do and stuff like that? Because we only I've only just met you. Ben actually met you at a party somewhere.
I met you at one of your facilities.
Yes, at one of our venues. Yeah.
We got chatting and I was like, man, I'd love to get some full-on hospitality insight on an episode here. I have a background in hospitality. I have some things I love about it, things I hate about it. Jay's obviously done a lot of work in nightclubs and knows some of the nightclub culture too. But finding out all the stuff you'd had done and you're currently doing, I was like, this is cool.
All right.
I could bond on this.
Oh, this will be a long one. But so I mentioned earlier, 41 this year. Don't feel it. Don't look it. Preserved, working night forever, which has been good. I listened to one of your other podcasts where you were arguing about ages a while ago with court, so I was having a laugh. But, so when I was younger, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. My parents worked full-time jobs and had a catering business on the side. So that's all we've ever known. When I was born, the day I was born, Dad was feeding 200 people and had to race from the hospital to from the gig to the hospital.
Yeah.
So we had a catering business on the weekends where we would do spit roasts or buffets or anything like that. So age of 12, we were taught how to carve a pig.
Yeah.
Age of 13, we were doing our own jobs, my brother and I, who's 18 months younger than me, but we'd have 21-year-old waiters with us that would be in charge. So they'd talk to the client in their backyard or wherever we were doing, and we were carving pigs and playing around. And we just learnt this ethic of you work. That's what we do. Hospo is good. But then, and we wear white shirts and little vests and bow ties. Like it was cringy now, but it's what we taught about doing things properly from mum.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the end of year 12, I was working in a kitchen, a pub in Albury called the New Albury Hotel, Paddy's, Irish bar. Yep. And I was doing like that work placement thing. I ended up getting a job in the kitchen for 4 hours a week. Worked at Chicken Stop in Wodonga. And then when I turned 18, I wanted to go to the Blue Mountains International Hotel School. I wanted to run pubs. I was like, this is what I know. Like, I love talking to people. The best is you've just done this big catering job and everyone's come up to you and thanked them, and you've seen families have fun or joy over food.
Yeah.
And then you've gone home and done like dishes for 400 fucking people, which is just, our Sundays were just dishes every day, and it was horrible. Like, but I couldn't afford this school. It was $60,000 a semester, and oldest of 5 kids, and we weren't poor, but we definitely weren't rich, but we owned everything we had. So, and I even remember there was one time Mum and Dad put the house on the market to try and send me there, and the house fell. It didn't cover in auction, so we didn't sell it. And I remember sitting back going, "Oh, I'm not going now." And then my younger brother Jake was there, and he's like, "Don't crack the shits. Find a way." And I was like, all right. Wow. So I found the best pub that I could, and it was this New Albury Hotel. And when I turned 18, they're like, "Do you want to do a shift downstairs?" And I was like, all right. And it was the best time of my life. Yeah. Like just working in the bar, seeing the other side from the kitchen. And then, and that's been it. Yeah. So that was 2000, year 2000, I started working in the bar the first time. And then that same job, that same pub, I quit in 2021 to move to buy my own 2 venues up here in Townsville.
Yeah.
So I wasn't stuck in one pub.
Sorry, what was that timeline again?
It was 21 years.
From 2000 you started, and then when did you move to Townsville?
In 2021, at the end of so the day that the borders reopened, my wife and the kids and I arrived. So in that period, though, I ran multiple venues, but it was always for the group that owned that central pub.
Yeah.
Like Paddy's was home, like New Albury Hotel. And at the peak of it, I was driving to Wagga, running venues for the group. And then the cool thing is the guy I was working for, Craig Shearer, is a good friend of mine and my business partner now. He sold them all to Australian Venue Company, made an absolute mozza, and then walked away and sold us with them in a way. So then I learned how to work in a big group.
Yeah.
And it was exciting because we were their first ever gaming venue. So it was and I don't know if you're familiar with Australian Venue Company. They've got 300 venues across Australia. Yeah. Tom's Tavern, a few other ones up here. And I just remember working with this big group going, fuck, this is hard work because I like working for someone, if that makes sense back at the time, like for their purpose. I understand a lot of why. Like Craig always had this joke, I'm going to buy a boat. And so I was like, I got to get his girls to school. Like what we were doing at 3, 4 in the morning was getting his kids in a good school.
Yeah.
Was getting him a boat. It was getting me paid to do what I want to do. But and I think that stemmed from the family business side because we all did it for our family side.
Yeah.
I brought a 1958 FC Ute when I was 16. That was my first car. Did it up with Dad, kept it in the shed, and then saved up all the money to pay for the rego. And then I went to pay for it, and then Dad put his money out, said put it away. Like it was we do things for the family.
Yeah.
So to speak. So when ABC brought the venues, I just had this instant connection with these professionals people. It like flicked a switch like, oh, I'm actually pretty fucking good at what I do, which is a hard thing for me to say because I don't like saying that. Yeah. Like I'm very just, it's not an I thing for me, hospo. It's a team. Yeah. You can't have the one guy doing the whole thing.
No.
So, and I've tried that before. It doesn't work. Yeah. You're exhausted, your venue falls down and you're blissfully broke. So, so at the peak of that, I was running 5 of their venues during COVID, which is the most stressful thing I've ever done. But also the best eye-opener. I mentioned earlier when that 15-week of the pubs closed, we had 2 young kids. I spent my time at home and I was a stay-at-home dad. My wife was an essential worker, so she was off doing what she needed to do and I loved it. Like, but then, but by the end of the day, when Lords had come home and the kids had run to her, like, hey, no, that's usually they run into me. Yeah. So it was that side. But yeah, it's a big journey, and I'll fast forward a bit. We can touch base on a bit of that background. But that's all we bought the Watermark on the Strand. Yeah. So sight unseen though. So my business partners had seen it. Yeah. And my wife and I hadn't. Yeah. So we were going to fly up to have a look, and then they shut the borders because of COVID. Yeah. So I remember thinking, oh, fuck, you know what? We'll go to the next one. We'll worry about it. And Laws didn't sleep that night and woke up the next morning and was fuck it, let's go. Yeah. I was like, what do you mean? She goes, it's an adventure. The kids will be fine. You know how to run a restaurant, so there's no problems there. Let's go do it. Do it for us. So we rang Craig and the guys, accepted the offer. They were blown away that we were doing it without looking at this venue. Yeah. Rented a house in Bushy Beach, sent our house, all our contents, our cars, lived at the mother-in-law's for 4 weeks. The borders reopened. We flew straight up. Yeah. Stayed at the Ville one night, went to the Watermark for lunch the next day, and I was like, what the fuck have I done? Because there was no marketing. I don't know if you're familiar with the Watermark, but there was no marketing. It was pretty dirty. The staff had no uniforms, like all these things that it's just been, it's like breathing to me in hospitality. It's just missing. Yeah. And it was very quiet. There was only like 20 people in the venue. And I was like,
what time was that? 20 people, like dinner?
It was lunch. It was about 11, right on 11 we walked in.
Yeah. On a weekend?
On a Thursday.
On a Thursday.
And I was like, oh, fuck, what have I done? And then I was like, and I'm a pretty bit of an optimist in that sense. I was like, nothing but up. We'll figure it out. Yeah. And then Dan, my restaurant manager now, walked up to us. Hello, sir. Like, I don't know, everybody who in Townsville has met Dan. Yeah. You might not know his name, but he is the guy that looks after you when you're at the Watermark. Yeah. And Talish and Terry, all the guys, Bino, they are all the same. But Dan rolls up. Hello, sir. What, you're up to a table, and sat us down. And I was like, okay, this is all right.
So he doesn't know who you are yet at all? Yeah.
No one knew who we were.
Yeah.
Nice. And I'm sitting there going, okay. And then he's going around the menu, and the menu's torn, and I swear there was blood on one, or crayons. I don't know. I was just like, oh, got to fix that too. Yeah. And then I was like, what do you want to eat? He goes, oh, try the involtini. And I was like, all right. So we ordered all this food. And then I reckon in the next 20 minutes, there was about 120 people in this restaurant. And I was just like, looking around. I remember Laws looked at me. She goes, "You feel better now?" I said, "Yeah, I can work with this."
Yeah,
it's that secret. People are coming in. Yeah. The food came down, huge plates, chipped plates, portions massive.
Yeah.
Didn't present like too well, but the flavors were there.
Yeah, the food and flavors were there.
Oh,
yeah, nice.
It's that. And I was like, all right, we can dress this up, but we don't need to do too much. So the next week I came in to sort out settlement with the owner at the time, who then, once he met me, I think he decided he wanted to keep it. Because he then ignored me for 6 months. We didn't settle till May, and that was early December. Mid-December when we first met him. But I remember when I came in to meet the owner at the time, and Duns looked across. He's like, "I thought it was you." Like he clicked on straight away, and it was the most stressful settlement I've ever had with other venues. Like it's just. We didn't know we were going home, back to Albury. This guy was trying to get us to walk away.
Yeah.
We wouldn't. Yeah. Everything was signed. Everything was done. We just had to wait it out. And then when we finally settled on the 4th of May, which is Star Wars Day, so it's always a bit of a laugh for that. And I remember driving in from Bush and Beach at like 4 a.m, ready for a 5 a.m. stock take, because settlements are a stressful thing. Especially with pubs.
Yeah.
And Magnolia by Gang of Youth was playing. And I literally, whenever it comes on my car now, I just think of that morning of...
Nice.
It was probably the most nervous I've ever been.
Yeah.
I was driving in thinking, am I going to get my first venue today, or am I going home? Yeah. But then in a second I was like, well, either way, I've got a decision. It's not in a limbo. I can't control it. Just get in and get what we done. And we did a fair bit of work that day. By 4 o'clock, got the keys. Big smile on my face. And then the work started because it wasn't open because he had it shut for a couple of days. And then he booked in 780 for Mother's Day in 3 days' time for us for lunch.
Yeah.
Which was just I think it was a bit of an FU. How do you make that happen? And then we, as a team, jumped in with our systems, moved some bookings around. We even convinced some people to come in on Saturday for Mother's Day lunch. And it was one of the smoothest services I've ever done. And
nice.
Bang, it felt really good. So
awesome.
So my dream up here is to move to Townsville with my family, have my venue up here, and pick up another couple of venues, but be part of the community, because that's how I do my pubs. I'm not here to grab my money and leave. Yeah. So the opportunity to get Anelay came up probably, I reckon November, December last year. Yeah. We jumped on it pretty quickly because we've had my eye on it all the time, because it's a venue that I've used to be doing. Like I used to run nightclubs and pubs and like 800-person nightclubs in Capital Nightclub in Wagga, which I think a few people from Townsville will know Wagga as well. That was ours as well. So so restaurants with 21 services a week and having to find the right size oranges for the orange juice machine is not my jam. It's a full stretch for me to get what I need to do. So whereas I looked at Anelay and was like, that's me. That's what we can do. We can throw a trivia night in. We can throw this in, and we throw events and do all that. Yeah. But then when we dump dived into Anelay as such, like 2.2 score on Google, and it was kind of like...
Was that all it was? Out of 5?
Wow.
Yeah, really? It was pretty rough. And you don't come back from that. Like,
no, because you can't get rid of Google reviews, right? No, that's there.
No. Yeah. But then if that's there, what about the factor of 6 of the ones that don't do the review? Yeah. That don't like it. They'll never come back. Yeah. So we come up with the plan of the beach hotel, which didn't sit well with us at the start, because we thought, is it really a beach on the Strand? But to us, I was like,
it's funny. Yeah.
It's a sketch. Like, is it?
If you're from the Goldie or somewhere, it's like, it's fucking river sand and water, but
If it's from Townsville though, it's definitely...
It's our exotic beach.
The Strand is literally the beach.
The beach. But what we thought was that the tourists would think it's a beach. Yeah. But the locals wouldn't. So we're actually thinking the other way around until we then went out and spoke to a fair few people. And then when I showed them a couple of names, they're like, oh, I like that one. And I think Courtney was one of the first people we showed.
Sweet,
bang, and I was like, so I felt better. And then so we built it up, and it's just this fun venue that just makes you feel good. You walk in, baristas say hi, gelato girl says hi, chefs will say hi. And then it's all about how are you before what do you want? Yeah. The main motto of the venue is called "We've Got You," because we tried to work on action list everything that was missed with the previous venue on how we can bring that back. Yeah. So now, part of a kick-on group. So my 2 venues that I look after up here, we do have the Osborne, the Plough Inn, the Collective in the Gold Coast, the Grandview out in Brisbane as well. Heading down south, we've got the Terminus in Fitzroy, the Continental in Sorrento, a beautiful big pub down there. A little restaurant called Pincho's in Collingwood, and another one coming up called the Duda Gata in Newmarket in Melbourne. And the Duda it's going to be a pretty special little venue. It's not little at all. Yeah, but it's done with my business partners, which I mentioned before was Craig. So Craig Shearer used to run Paddy's, or used to own Paddy's and a few other pubs, sold them all off. And then when his non-compete rang out, he just slowly plucked us all back in. So Tom, our marketing director, a good mate of mine, he's in there as well. My younger brother, Jake, who I spoke about before, culinary director, he's our culinary director for Kick On Group. So he's a business partner in there too. Yeah. We got Craig. We got Pete, who's our finance guy, who keeps us. You spend 1 cent more on the credit card, he's onto you. Every time I answer him, it's Bartholomew. Like, what do you need? And he seems to be a massive Star Wars fan. He's always, we don't try, we do. Like, he's very he's straight into it. But it's a collective group of people that makes me feel like I'm working in a family business again. Yeah. Because there's that rule in family businesses, right? You can be pretty nice to each other during service. Like it's. You might not always like each other, but you love each other. Yeah. So, and I think the first 10 years of my career, I kind of forgot that. I used to be in pubs and nightclubs. It'd be like, fucking do it. Fucking get that sorted and kick off. And I had other managers pull me up. Like, you're an asshole. Why are you kicking off? And I'm like, yeah, but it's okay because it's just the heat of the battle, but it's not. So, it took me a while to learn that one. I definitely, the big factor that flicked that switch was working with my wife. Like, that's how I met Laws. I kicked her out when she was 16, which is hilarious.
From your pub?
From one of our pubs, when she was 16. Her brother, Ponch, used to work with us. I was like, little Poncho, get out. I'll buy you a drink when you're 18. And she rolls in when she's 18 and she's like, where's me fucking drink? Like, she's the little party animal. And then she worked in our venues and we just became good friends for a long, long time. And then I was single for about a year and it was a pretty weird breakup, that one that I had. And they looked after me for a year. Like, I swear they'd come and check on me in the middle of the night or just make sure I got home, or like my house got emptied by my partner at the time when she left, and they just did everything right by me. And I remember all these randoms would come and go, oh, you and Laura will hook up for sure. I was like, hell no. Like, it's just like a little sister. It's a bit weird. Yeah. And then one random night we kissed and we're like, oh, we shouldn't do that. And then that happened, like that conversation happened after like nearly every night for 3 months. Oh, probably shouldn't do that again. We shouldn't do that again. Shouldn't do that again. And then, and fast forward, we've been married 5 years next week.
I love stories like that, man.
And I love it. And she was my ops manager in the biggest pub in Albury. And that's where I learned that it fucking comes home with you if you get angry and shitty. Like, why do you, like, you got to be you all the time. Yeah. Yeah. Like, and so it's that genuinely, it's a weird word, but you got to be genuine in that sense. Yeah. Like, if you're you when you're angry and you when you're happy and you there, then everyone knows what to expect from you. Yeah. And you're better at what you do. Yeah. So, because I remember there was times like, I need this done, this. And then I'd go see her afterwards. Go, you ready to go home? Hey, I'm fucking going home. I'm going to my house tonight because you're an asshole tonight. Yeah. And I'll be like, what? And then like it was that flick that switch. Yeah. And it sort of turned the time on that. But I reckon everyone's got those little moments in their life where you change something for the better. Like, you can have 50 of your mentors or million people around you tell you need to do this, but you won't do it until you figure it out yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I see it with duty managers, VMs that I've been teaching over the years and stuff like that. They are phenomenal at what they do, but they just need to let go of one thing, and you can't tell them. Yeah. And you can lead them to it, but something's got to flick on them. Yeah. Yeah.
I know like a lot of people in management positions these days are hoping that their staff screw up because they're going to learn something from it, and they'll in many ways won't do it again. Like, they're just waiting for that moment. Like you said, they have to learn the hard way sometimes.
Yeah. I got this mentality like no one's going to die. Yeah. Nobody died. Like, they made a mistake. No one died. Yeah. No, it's not. It is what it is. Yeah. Like, but at the same point, don't do it twice. Yeah. And I'm big on after action reports. Yeah. Like we used to, like I said, it sounds very military on that side, but at the same point, like, right, cool, let's have a quick debrief, whether it's a beer after work or going over, what did we do wrong? Yeah. Right. You know what? Service was bad. We didn't clear the tables fast enough. We couldn't get the food out fast enough. We got a few complaints. Right. Well, upstairs had 4 staff when they only needed 3. What were you doing? You should have been walking around, pulling one down, moving them around, chest parts. And they go, oh, right. Yeah. Okay. And then we do the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was working in a restaurant 20 years ago, all the barmaids there were like, it's almost like an initiation. You have to drop a fucking plate of drinks to know where the balance point is on it. And every time someone new starts, it was like, when you drop it, you'll know how to hold it then for the rest of your career as a bartender or whatever.
We had this venue in Albury. It was an Irish pub and had these monstrous Guinness pies. Oh. Absolutely. In pastry, I still crave it. I got the recipe at home. I'm not even going to make it because I know I won't get it right. Yeah. And it was on the plate and it had mashed potato and a little bit of a salad. So it was the worst balanced plate you've ever seen. And I remember walking to a table with 2 in one hand and another one, and I put one down and I leant and it slid. And I put my hand straight in to catch it on the ground, and my hand went straight into this pie, and that skin off, like it burnt the absolute shit out of my fingers. And I remember walking around going, okay. And the guy's like, you just put your hand in pie? I'm like, not by choice, champion. Like, come on. Like, let's it's either that or your lap. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And that's probably what I was thinking at the time. I was probably like 19. I was like, sorry. Like, it's just like, what are you doing? But yeah, it's, you've got to drop it. You got to break it.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing with staff at the moment, it's hire for will, train for skill.
Yeah.
Like, I can teach you to carry 3 plates. You could teach me to play the guitar or drums one day.
Yeah.
Like, will it take time? Yes. But if I don't want to, if I don't show interest to,
yeah, good point.
Very, very good point.
That's fine. And so I won't waste my time.
Yeah.
With a young family now and restaurants and that, time's my biggest thing. Like I probably sacrifice things that benefit me, only me, a bit more than I normally do. I haven't been to the gym for 3 weeks. And the gym what makes me happy. And it's usually because I get pretty close to going, and if I stay back at the restaurant and help them, they'll have a better service tonight than I don't have to sleep. So I won't affect them. I'll let it affect me. And probably the hardest thing I got going on, and probably the last 3 years, has probably been that 2D life. We had a leadership coach that we use for our group. He's he's very good at what he does. He's a team member he's got a team of 1, which blows your mind, right? You teach phenomenal teams, but you can't work with anyone else. And him and I used to clash a little bit, I think, for that side. So, but he had some gold in there, and I sat down and did a big session with him, and he's like, you have your family and you have your restaurants. Because what does Bart do? And I couldn't answer it.
Yeah.
And it's still a work in progress. But it's like, I'm not making an excuse, but I love hospitality. I love talking to my customers. I love talking to my staff. Like I do that. But then I get home and I tuck my kids to bed. Yeah. I make sure they go to school. Like I drop them off to school. Yeah. I'm there with my wife. I cook dinner. I do all that. But I got to find something for me.
Yeah.
And recently I brought a camera from a local camera shop up here, like a little Nikon ZF. And I'm just going out taking some photos. And it's forcing me to slow down and look at some fun stuff. Yeah. I'm not that good at it yet. But I haven't shared too many of them, but it's just fun just to go, and especially living on the Strand too. You go up and down the Strand, you got the cannons, the view of Magnetic Island. Yeah. But it's forcing me to sort of slow down. Yeah. And I reckon that's probably my next little life thing, going, hey, don't let it consume.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty big on finding joy. Like, everyone does that whole, I'll get through my shift and I can't wait for that beer at the end. Yeah. Whereas so you're working and you're too busy looking at the end. And then by the time you get to the end, you could do another 4 hours. Yeah. It just keeps moving. Whereas I try to find the joy in each of those shifts. So whether it's giving a birthday card to a table, or whether it's having a quick chat to an elderly couple that's come in, or a young family that's celebrating a birthday, like that's the fun part. Yeah. And then by the end of it, you're like, oh, fuck, shift's finished. Like, the day's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just going to actually, if we can condense like all of this sort of discussion now and then open it back up again in a form that's like, what does hospitality mean to you? Because you're obviously clearly really passionate about it. And like my partner, she's been in hospitality for years too. She's done barista. She's been a barista. She's been restaurant supervisor, restaurant stepped up into some management stuff as well. Currently a supervisor somewhere else in a barista sort of role, and but she's also gone through, like we were talking about pre-show, about the split shift thing as well, and she hates the split shifts, and that's kind of turned her off of the hospitality thing. But she loves to make people smile, and she loves to see people be happy. Like when she was working at I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying this, but when she worked at the what's it called, the Cowboys Leagues Club, she made connections with so many different people, and then they always came back for her because they knew that if she was on, they were going to get the best service possible. Yeah. And like I can see that in you as well, but even more so in your own specific way. And you've got your family, so like you're mentor that you said before, the guy who came in for the excuse me if I'm getting it wrong.
The leadership coach?
Leadership coach, that's the one. When he said, look, you've got your restaurants and you've got your family. And then obviously you had that thing in your mind where you're like, well, what do I actually enjoy? But to me, it does, even though restaurants are your work, family are your life, it seems like there's, from the outside point of view, it seems like there is something there that's like a really core value to you.
They definitely cross over. Right?
Yeah.
But it's almost, you've got to be like a joy junkie. Like if you see somebody having fun, you help with that.
Yeah.
You have somebody sharing food, you help with that.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that with we're a Polish family. We do everything with food.
Yeah.
Like, probably not good for our hearts. We've all got heart problems, but it's, you have a bad day, you eat food. It's that whole
it's emotional.
Yeah, it's that what's his name?
It's a comfort.
That Navy SEAL admiral that tell the whole make your bed in the morning.
Goggins or Jocko.
No, we'll have to add him in later. But he's he was an admiral in the Navy SEALs, and his big thing is make your bed. Because at the end of the day, no matter how tough and bad the day will be, you're coming home to a made bed.
Yeah.
I don't make my bed. I'm pretty useless with that side because I've got a great. I try, but it's that mentality of like have something good at the end of the day on that. But for starters, your partner's a rock star in my eyes, right? Because baristas are gods. I can make myself a coffee, but as soon as more than 3 dockets come in, I will mentally break down. I might lift my hat to any barista out there in the world, like that and chefs. I just can't. But at the same point, I know the value of those people. You need to work it out. But I think when we built, when Craig and the boys built Kick On, we want a venue and a group that looks at hospitality as joy. How can you bring happiness to hospitality? Like it's we kind of liken it to, you go to Bunnings, right? And if you find that old bloke in the corner that works at Bunnings, you go, hey, mate, I'm trying to build this. And all of a sudden he's built it for you.
Yeah.
And you can see the joy in his eyes. Somebody's, I'm useful. Like it's bringing that into it. Yeah. And so to us, it's about how can we create a company and create venues that value the staff to attract those ones.
Yeah.
Like it's really important. Like one of my proudest things in the last 2 years was last year, Tylerson, who's one of my restaurant managers, was up for excellence in service at the QHA Awards. So we went down to Brisbane together, the 2 managers, and Tamara and I went down with our group at the big awards night, and he didn't win, but just sitting at that table and having him turn around and go, hey, how nice was it to be here? I was like, how good is that?
Yeah.
And then this year, Lydia, who everyone will know at the restaurant too, blonde hair with a French penny in her hair, she was up for that same award. Dan was up for excellence in service across all of Queensland as well. And we went to the awards and we sat there and I've never been so proud. And then Dan's name gets called out. So he's won excellence in service across all of Queensland. And I literally sat at our table and a few of the boys, I had tears in my eyes, and they're like, "What do you?" I go, "Mate, this is literally what we do."
Yeah.
I couldn't care about best restaurant, best venue or anything. I love staff awards. It's just, how can you, we're lucky to have these people work with us.
If you look at the core reason why people go out a lot, it's usually because they're celebrating birthday, anniversary, like they're going out to be happy.
Yeah.
They're going out to celebrate and be happy at something. So
100%. Hospitality to us is color.
Yeah.
Like you've got service black and white, hospitality is color. Like we stole that from Will Guidera. He's the number one. He owned 11 Madison Park, the restaurant. He's got a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, and he talks about how you bring joy to each of these venues. And then we brought in the idea of the birthday cards. So we give, if you're a birthday card at the Watermark, we know the staff listen. Oh, you're celebrating a birthday. Bang, we all write in there a little note. It's not a free garlic bread or a free Coke or a beer or anything. It's just this genuine Watermark card. And the amount of people walk out going, how good is that? Like it makes you feel really good.
Every fucking staff member has signed this card.
I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
But the staff find it joy in it too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, table 28's got a birthday.
Bang.
What's her name? And then it's like, oh, so what's your name? John. Oh, great. Thanks, John. Enjoy your birthday. Bang. It's John, everyone. And then they come over and sing happy birthday and say his name. And he's like, what the hell?
That's awesome.
But it's little things. Or it's we had a day where we had a kid coming in before a Cowboys game. He was dressed up in Cowboys gear. So if you're going to the game, he goes, yeah, it's my birthday. He was like 8. I was like, oh, cool. So we got the card for him and we wrote happy birthday. And about 10 minutes later, Chad Townsend come in for brekkie. And he used to come in a fair bit for brekkie before he left. And I pulled him up and said, Chad, I don't normally ask this, but can you help us out? He goes, mate, no stress. He wrote in the card,
Yeah.
And we gave it to the kid and didn't tell him the card, and they sang happy birthday and gave him a little dessert for lunch. And they were about to head to the game. He reads the card and then he just turns and looks at Dad. He goes, looks around and he sees Chad, and Chad waves at him. And just this face.
Love that.
And I'm like, simple.
Yeah.
How do you bring joy to people? And
Love that.
That's what we love. But it's about how we can help our staff do that same thing.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
And not many venues do that.
Yeah.
Like they all say, oh yeah, we're about our people and our culture and do that. But you've got to put your hand on your heart and do it.
Yeah.
We do a thing called a team engagement survey. So most companies do surveys now. So, but we've put a bit of an incentive around it. So say I've got 100 staff, 25 a week will get a survey. We don't know who. So I know if you've got the survey that week, but I don't know your response. It's anonymous, and there's 3 or 4 questions around it. It takes 30 seconds. The main question is, do you recommend family or friends to work at the Watermark? Because that's a hard question for us. If I've had a great week, these people that work here are really nice. I want my daughter to work here.
Yeah.
It's where I want to go. And 7 and above is a good score for us.
Yeah.
So we give ourselves a score out of that, and then we track the completion. So we ask the staff for 90% attendance to our staff meeting.
Yep.
And 90% completion across the month. If they do that, they get $50 free a week on their account and 50% off everything every time they come in the venue.
Love that.
So they could bring 10 people in for dinner. As long as they pay for it, it's half price.
Wow.
Yeah, shit.
Because we want to give them the value of hospitality. But we also want them to sit in the venue and go, oh, you know what? No one's come over and got me a drink quick enough. Maybe I can do that better on my shift.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah.
And it works. It costs about $4,000 a week because they love it. They get around it. It's the employee benefits. Like it costs, and we actually it goes in as an expense. Yeah. So we track it. So we don't need to do that. But with that, we now get buy-in.
Yep.
They understand the why. Like one of my favorite things to do, and it's weird. I don't go to my venues that often on a private sense because I don't want to be a rock star. I don't want to feel like I'm causing more work for them. I'd rather keep the table clear so they can look after our customers and do all that side. So, but when I go in there and I make a booking, they love it. Yeah, I get in there and there's colouring ins for the kids, and they treat us like a customer. Hello, sir, and one of my favourite things. We went in there on the 1 year of owning the restaurant, and then they came in, and I didn't think anyone knew. Like we just the 4 of us, my wife and kids, just sat there and we're having dinner and having a good laugh. And then they brought over this dessert player with a big happy 1 year owning the Watermark, and they all stood around and sang. That. And I was just like, how fucking good! Like they're making me feel like that. Yeah. And I know they're making our customers feel the exact same.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But it's important that I make them feel that way.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned in that TES, their comments become our action register for that week.
Yeah.
So they can tell, and in an anonymous sense, they can tell us what they want to see more of, less of, what we could do, some cool ideas. And then in our staff meetings, we talk about 90-day plans.
Yeah.
So they know in 3 months' time, in January, February, when it's traditionally quiet, what we're doing to keep it busy so they have shifts.
Yeah.
And then you got your working holiday guys, which I fucking love them.
Yeah.
Because everyone calls them backpackers, but you can't, because I've got 2 accountants, I've got a solicitor.
Yeah.
Like they're professional people.
Yeah.
Treat them professionally. You get professional people working for you.
Yep.
And then on the end of their 3 months when they leave, they're in tears when you're driving them to the airport. Yeah. Like we just a couple of weeks ago dropped off a couple of the Irish girls to the airport, the kids and I, and they were almost in tears and we get drunken phone calls from them all the time. They're at the Cowboys game in Sydney, they're our team, like having a laugh. Townsville's home to them now. So
oh, that's awesome.
It's a really great industry.
Yeah.
But it can take a lot from you.
Yeah.
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 You know, I had the joy of sitting with the participants in the Cowboys Dream Believe Achieve program last Friday. I met with them in the morning and just did a little talk about hospitality and whatnot and how to find a career in it and what to do. And we're talking there's like 30 just young people and mixture doing this hospitality course that probably haven't had the best start, but they're there. And I said, job number 1, you're in the room.
Yeah.
I said, your resume might not be as shiny as somebody else, but I don't care about resumes. Hire for will, train for skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a great chat, and I can't wait. We're going to have them come through and do their placements through the venues as well. Yep. And hopefully we can hire and get some graduates out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the best like co-workers I've worked with in random jobs have been the ones that didn't pick it up overly fast at the start, but they were there every day, never had a sickie, and they gave 100%. And if it takes an extra 3 months to train someone who is going to give it a crack. I know a lot of employers who will go, give me that sort of person every day over someone who on paper knows everything, can do everything, but doesn't really fit the mold of the team or doesn't have the right energy or the right values to go along with it. So,
I couldn't agree more. Like I hate having that one staff member that knows it all, does it all, and
thinks
doesn't
they're
share and
expendable.
teach. Yeah. Like if you want to be the hardest worker in the room, not really impressing me.
Yeah.
You're the best team worker in the room. Like phenomenal teams are led by many.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, you cannot do it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with life, same with family, same with work.
Yeah.
You have to share the load.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, Kel's back home. I talk to her nearly every week. She's had a little baby girl now, so I haven't spoken to her. Like she's doing, I'm sleeping, I'm trying to sleep, I'm doing all this, but I'm looking forward to see them next week. But she's a psychologist. But I just like talking to her, and she'll just do the check-in. How's the venues?
Yeah.
How's the Lords? How's the kids? And I think being so far away from those friends makes it really hard to get that.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I remember about you the first time I met you was it was on a Saturday, so you weren't even, that was at your venue, it was at Beach House. You weren't even rostered on, but you were there. When the Chewy incident happened, right?
Yes, I was there. But I was there for the Pete's party, for the Torah party.
But I remember as you were leaving, I said, "Oh, you're going to go home now?" And you're like, "No, I'm just going to go check on the Watermark, see if they need anything." I'm like, "Dude, it's like 7 o'clock or something, or 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. Like you could go home, be with family, but you're choosing to just go check on your team members when you wouldn't even have to do. Well, many other people wouldn't even Saturday 6 o'clock p.m. It's my time. They can sort it out themselves.
And that's FOMO to me.
Yeah,
missing out. Like it's not that I don't think they can't do it. I have some of the best staff members in all of Townsville. It's they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's FOMO. It's 100% FOMO. Fear of missing out.
Yeah,
I fucking like. You spend all week in the office. You're doing all your reports. You're planning events. You're planning this, and you don't get to go work them.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
No, you got to be part of it. And I like walking through and going, hey, how'd you go tonight?
Yeah.
Cool. We had this. They don't necessarily tell me the problems. Like if there's a major one, they'll call me. But if they've fixed it, sorry.
You're right.
I don't need them to tell me everything on that side, but it's just more of a, you're doing all right. Or and you see it in their eyes. Oh, he's not checking on me. He's just making sure I'm okay.
Yeah.
It was only 10 minutes and then I'm home doing the exact same thing. Watching bloody Sweet Tooth with the kids. I don't know if you've watched that on Netflix. There's a plug. But if you want to learn how to be innocent and be a nice thing, watch that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's FOMO.
Yeah.
Like I sat there with you guys. You had no idea I owned the venue.
No, and that's how the Chewy incident. So when I went to this,
you need to talk. You need to tell everyone about it.
So I had a Chewy in the car on the way to this party.
Yeah.
And I've walked upstairs and I could have been like every other shit cunt out there and like taken the Chewy out and stuck it on the table or some shit. But I didn't because I have more respect than that. So I got my glass of water and I just sat the Chewy in the water so that no one else would get, the Chewy wouldn't go anywhere. I know where it is all times. It's in my glass. And I sat next to Bart.
And it sits next to me.
And I had no idea. And I could see you looking over at the Chewy. And I didn't really think much of it, but then it wasn't until you said, was that, do you realize, what did you say? Did you realize there's a Chewy? I just remember,
I'm dialed in whenever I go, not even just my venues. Like I'll sit there and I'll look at ambience and lighting and this and that. And it's not judgy, but it's like, what can I learn? What can we do?
Yeah.
And I remember looking around and I tend to, in those situations in a venue, I tend to be quiet. I kind of sit back and sort of listen. I really enjoy people watching, right? In that, to the point where I think one of the young girls in the gym sat on me, so thinking I was a chair. Do you remember?
Yeah.
She just sat. And I was like,
you were so still at the corner of your eye. They've sort of just like back. Oh, sorry, shit.
Yeah, she just sat on me. I was like, oh no, I'm sitting here. And then anyway, and I looked across and I was like, surely not. I could see this white iceberg, half chewed minty at the bottom of this glass, and I was like, in my head, I was like, and because it's a new team and and I was like, no. Surely they didn't serve it with that in there, because my mind didn't click to someone to do that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, do I say something? Oh, fuck. And I go, and it was a full glass of water, so I wasn't sure if you'd sipped out of it yet.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it. And I was like, is that your Chewy? And you were like, oh, yes. And I was like, thanks. And I think I just instantly, my face was like, thank fuck. I thought it was ours.
Yeah.
And you were like, what do you mean by ours? And then Courtney's like, oh, Bart owns the Beach Hotel. And then you were like, oh, fuck.
I could see how it would have looked. But even the fact you asked, like I was thinking about it afterwards. I was like, most other people would probably just deny it. But you as a business owner could have really put yourself in shit if that wasn't my Chewy.
Yes,
but the fact you've like owned it and gone, oh look, this is the problem here.
But
I like that.
One thing we've learned, and I've spent I've spent a lot of years on the front doors of pubs, right? Refusing people, kicking people out, doing all that. Like, if you're genuine, you're you.
Yeah.
And you're sincere.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to get mad at the guy being nice to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I've kicked out so many different people out the front of the pubs that have, and usually, like, if your staff members cut somebody off and they get kicked out and they're probably not that drunk, I'll tell them, look, guys, if it was me, I probably wouldn't have, but my staff have, so I'm going to back them.
Yeah.
Come back next time. I'll buy you a beer. We'll look after you. This young guy, Jay, did that. He was crying out the front. It was his mate's 21st. He was actually in tears at the front of this pub. And I was like, man, I'm really sorry. Mate. Yeah, sorry about
it. It's all right, mate.
and he's jogged off. And I reckon 2 weeks later, he's come through and he sort of snuck past me. And I go, Jay, come here. Took him out the bar, brought him a beer. Enjoy your night. And he was like, just chuffed that I remembered. And then I did this big fundraising thing to raise money for breast cancer back home. We did a lot of breast cancer awareness back home. And it was a big out of my comfort zone thing. I did a you'll find it. I did a basically Dancing with the Stars version of Aubrey. I danced in front of 1,500 people.
Yeah. Is it on video?
Oh, it's out there in the world.
We'll post a link, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why I've just gone. I've done it now. And it was to Christina Aguilera's Candyman, right? It was a jive. Like, it was there. But I raised 38 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
awesome.
we raised it through the pub and through everything like that.
Yeah.
And we did a pay what you want entry on the front door. And this pub, we never charged entry. And there was always a line, 300 in the line, 1,100 inside the place. It's kind of like Molly's on steroids, right?
Yeah.
And so we had an FPOS machine out the front with volunteers, and they were like, and most people pay $1, $5, $10. Got some uni students paying 10 cents. Like, it was, we didn't care.
Yeah.
Something to get in. He turns around and he pays $100. I was like, what are you doing? He goes, you're a good dude. And off he went. And then he dropped another $100 a week later on the online thing, saying for keeping up your end of the promise. I was like, see, that is the power of interactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you always remember who's nice to you. And I think in hospitality, that's the key thing. You come into your venue and cost of living's high. Like, I'm not driving a Rolls Royce. We're not driving, like, we don't have gold houses. Like, cost of salmon is huge. Cost of mackerel is huge.
Yeah.
And when people sit there and go, oh, your price of your food's ridiculous. Well, I can't control that.
Yeah.
The margins are still the same.
Yeah.
Like, when we try to keep our portions right, we try to keep our wastage right, but all we can control is how much extra service we can do to a point, because there's good service and there's over labor.
Yeah.
So we hire for will, train for skill, get our staff to do those extra things through spending money in employee benefits. And then all of a sudden you're getting that value. You know what? I don't mind spending $48 or $38 for a salmon because it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But I've had a good night. I've enjoyed it with my partner or my friends or my family. And I've forgotten about how shit my day was, or I've forgotten about something else that's going on in my life.
Yeah.
And that's that power that I like. You see people walk out and they thank you on the way out, and especially the ones that come hunting for you just to shake your hand. It's kind of like you're like, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. You've got 120 dockets there, all this food ready to come out. And you're like, fuck off. But no, you appreciate it.
Yeah. How do you deal with I'm just trying to think. So from my point of view, I would rather be at a restaurant where, I'm trying to think how to say this. You know how sometimes a restaurant, the staff could be lovely, but they might send a wrong order out or something. I'd rather still be at that restaurant if the vibe is good, the staff are lovely, everyone's having a laugh, than a real stuck-up restaurant where everything's like on point and everything, but the vibe is just dead. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather deal with people who are happy to own a mistake here and there as long as the vibe is really, really cool or whatever. If someone drops a drink over there, everyone does the Aussie thing. Oh, taxi! I'd rather be around that all the time than a real stuck-up, pompous restaurant that, the food might be great, but the vibe's stale, the staff is stale, no one's laughing or...
You need that. It's people.
Yeah.
You want to be around people. Again, I wasn't in COVID times up here. I was down to the ones where it was locked down in Victoria and we had to get permits to go 6 Ks across the river where your home was. Like, it was ridiculous on that side. But it was there for a purpose, right? Like, I'm not saying it was right or wrong or anything like that, but it was, my mum was dealing with cancer at the time. So we had this point of staying away from her so she didn't get sick. Like, it was fear of the unknown. You could do what you got to do. But when you go out now, you want human interaction. Like, you've got some people that kick off about those QR codes in venues, about ordering on QR codes, but they help us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we teach our staff that it could be like Ben scans a QR code, orders 2 beers and a pizza. It comes up as Ben on the docket. So we train our staff to walk over and go, Ben, here's your pizza, mate. Okay, you like these beers? Let's try another one. Like, why can't you make it customer service?
You can learn. You can learn more stuff. Yeah.
But you're not now, you're spending 4 minutes sitting with your friends talking instead of 4 minutes at the bar while they're at the table.
Yeah.
Again, it's time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everyone goes, QR code. And then you've got the audacity to ask for a tip.
Yeah.
Well, it's a link. And if you want to do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. Like that's the staff's choice for that. The tips don't have anything to do with me.
Yeah.
The only part of the tips that I look after is the recycle 10-cent container scheme. That just goes to an old bank account of mine, which then I give to the staff for their staff tips. So that's about it.
Cool, man. Yeah.
And it helps my wastage in terms of waste costs, but it also means that they're the ones sorting the bins and keeping after that. Yeah. But if you can create time with your customers, with each other and your staff in venue, then that's it.
Yeah.
So the QR codes to me, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When used the right way.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of, I remember you were saying something before I think pre-show. You were talking about like reviews and stuff as well. And this ties in with that, how do you deal with like the review aspect of, you obviously have Google reviews, you have in-person reviews. You've obviously had a lot of people who are very openly happy with the service that you personally provide, but then also most of your staff. But then obviously you obviously will always have the odd person who does leave a negative review. And also I was just going to say, like, Anelay was one of those places that, unfortunately it did get a lot of bad rap. And you said that it had, what did you say, 2.2?
It was 2.2 on Google.
That is really low.
Yeah, but you can remember, everyone will go out and tell the world when they've had a bad time. When they have a good time, they kind of, it's not as proliferate.
Exactly.
Like, you don't get home all worked up how much of a great time I've had. Like it's very the other way around.
Yeah. So, I mean, my biggest question is, one, how much do you value the review system? Because obviously, it's hard. I personally, I've enjoyed most of the times that I've had at when it was Anelay. I've only been to the beach house now, I think once, since you reopened it as that. And I mean, I've still enjoyed myself. I actually know Jake. Both my partner and I know him because we've, she's worked with him across different.
He's a great bloke.
Just an amazing guy, awesome guy, great service. But I mean, how do you deal with the whole review aspect of it? Like, do you?
It's a love-hate.
Yeah.
Like, I love the feedback.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're like. It's good to know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Like equal parts. Because you want to replicate it.
Yeah.
Like you work so hard in the background to get everything right. And then that's your scoreboard.
Yeah.
So to speak, as well as your revenue coming through.
Yeah.
But when you get a bad review, I have a 10-minute rule. I put my phone down.
Yeah.
Or I will write back the most horrific answer you've ever met. Like, I'm a big old get fucked. Like, this is what we have done. You don't understand. Yeah. But we have a thing where we, similar to the TS that I mentioned before, the CSAT. So every week we get all our reviews.
Yep.
We reply back to every review within 24 hours, positive and negative. But the negative ones we turn into our action list.
Yep.
So, and we get them, I get them on Review Tracker. I get an instant one. And you mentioned before, we do get, you got your Facebook reviews, Google, you got your Yelp, your TripAdvisor, and all the other fucking, I want to be on MasterChef fucking reviewing platforms. And the main one for us is through our booking system. So we actually invite you to review. We send it to you within 12 hours, you'll be coming to the venue. And it's just a quick 5-star, boop, feedback, done. And with the idea, there's 2 reasons for that. A, if we can catch you before going super public, if you're really filthy.
Yeah.
But, and B is you're probably more likely to just tell me, because there is more people out there that will just go, I didn't have a good time, but I'm not going to go tell the world. These guys are trying. But if you give me that feedback, and we get our best feedback from our booking platform one.
Yeah.
But also on touch points in the venue. So when you get seated, every time a food an item gets cleared, the staff will, how was everything? Like, that's just not a polite thing. We actually have checkback sheets just outside of on every next to every till. So they'll write table 24, seafood 1A, not enough seafood. Yeah. And so they get scanned to the exec chef, myself, and our head chef every night. One of the first things I read in the morning. And it's not a huge novel. It could only be a couple of pages, but it's more like, all right, Barramundi's twice. Let's check something.
Yeah.
like it's boom, boom. Because we
love that.
Like I think you get a lot of people that give you a review and they're so mad that you've fucked up their dinner. And it's like, I think they expect to get into the venue, look across, and they think I'm sitting there going, oh, there's Ben. Let's fuck up his salmon.
Yeah.
Like, here he is again.
These motherfuckers.
Let's give it to him.
Yeah.
Like they just think it's on purpose. But at the same point, we some nights we're doing 400 covers.
Yeah.
However, I'm not blaming that because it's our choice to do that many covers, and we have a rule and we have a goal of consistency. Yeah. So it's no poor me or we were busy. That's a shit excuse. Like that is, we're busy every day. So we don't let that to be an excuse. It's how we can do things right. But it fucking hurts when you get a bad one. I've had we had a venue in Albury we opened up, and there was another venue opening on the other side of the road. It was just a little beer cafe, really cool little vibey joint. Had a good chef down, for a local guy, and another guy, Sava, a friend of mine from Sydney, came down to open with him. And the first couple of weeks they were open, and then they were closed. And we were like, oh, what happened? Head chef had committed suicide over the pressure of the kitchen and some bad reviews.
Yeah.
And it's just that was the first time hospitality and mental health sort of kicked in. I was like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? It's just a review.
Yeah.
But then you realize you've just opened a venue, you're busting your ass. And then now I get a review, I can get filthy. Like I got one not long ago. At the beach hotel around, he wrote that it was a soulless venue.
Yeah.
And that we need to get some more local beers. And it's like, you just want to write, I've reached out to all the local breweries, even cans, and no one is writing back. So what do you want me to do? And then I kind of replied back, have we upset you? It doesn't seem like you've been to the venue. Like, I'm really sorry. And then his reply was, I used to work for ALH and AVC, and I know what a soulless venue is, and you've created it. I was like,
wow.
Oh. Like, he got me real hard. And it's easy to sit back and go, oh, fuck him, don't listen to it, don't worry about it. But now I'm still pushing for some more different craft beers. Is my lighting right? Is the volume right? Like, you've got to, rightly or wrongly, in a nasty way, he's written something. Yeah. How can we adjust it and how we can play around? So the power of reviews is phenomenal, but also the power, and I just wish some of these people could actually, it's almost like some of those late night shows in the US where you get the celebrity reading out tweets about them.
Yeah.
It's almost like if they could see us reading them and seeing that we'd just done a 16-hour day, and we thought we were trying to get everything right, but like 4 staff called in sick, or one delivery didn't come, or this or that, and that we just tried.
Yeah.
Like it's that side, but they won't. So all we can do is use it to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in saying that, this system works really well. We have about average 45 reviews a week for the Watermark, and it sits at about a 91% CSAT score. Yeah. So there's far more good feedback coming through than negative. But the negative ones I always read, but the positive ones I read for the fact that how do I replicate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, I don't think I've ever left a negative review on anything in my life. But in saying that, I've hardly left any positive ones as well. I remember one positive review I left on a resort I stayed at once. But then it got me thinking, are reviews like a really important thing to do for businesses? I don't know. Like, I guess everyone will have pros and cons.
There's a lot of businesses that look at them as, it puts me up higher on Google, or it puts me in a better spot, or this means I'm doing really well. Like, I can get 150 of my friends to write a review tomorrow if you wanted to. Yeah. But I don't look at them like that. I'm like, give me your feedback. Like, I can't always turn around and you can't make McDonald's do fried chicken, but like you can't always cover what everybody wants. But at the same point, someone's taking the time to listen, to give you something. You got to listen. But you're right. Like, how many, like you mentioned before, you haven't given out too many good reviews. But fuck, it feels good to know you're doing something right, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's just like, I've had plenty of good experiences everywhere. It's just like, once I leave, I go about my day. I'll tell people how good something was, but I won't actually.
We classify that as a good review as well.
Yes, yeah.
So when the paste, and Watermark's very unique. You order, then you go past the station, you pay on the way out. Yeah. The duty manager's always asking you questions and doing that. So we get that, we write that feedback down too when we can.
Yeah.
So by all means, if you're just saying it was fantastic, see you next week, like that's a feel good.
Yeah.
We pass that on to the team, especially the tips, or going back to the young servers. Like I've got 3 of probably the best 17-year-olds I've ever met. Yeah, working at the Watermark. And they've been there about nearly a year and a bit with us, and I've never met more inquisitive people in my life. Like it's just like if these guys could be CEOs, world leaders one day. Like they just want to know. Like I've got one girl who I remember we had one seafood platter. We ran out of crab that night, and I'll tell you what, that is a crime. Even though there's bugger all meat in these sand crabs.
Yeah.
But if you run out of crab for some of our locals, it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's gone over without the crab, and he's kicked off. He didn't realize we put extra oysters on, and we didn't explain it to him. She's turned around and gone, I'll go deal with this. And I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. And she's gone over the table. She goes, I am so sorry. I must have made a mistake. I should have told you. I just played the young, innocent little girl card. And she came over. She goes, he's fine. Like, and I was just like, you're going to go far in life. Like, it's learning how to talk to different people.
Yeah.
Love that.
Like, I recommend everybody to work in hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to learn to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And it's not just a conflict thing as well. Like, it's
personality-wise. Yeah. Just learning how to talk to people.
That is the biggest ticket.
Yeah.
Like I've got friends that are school teachers that worked at the pubs all the way through, even probably stayed on a year after they got their degree.
Yeah.
And they're principals, assistant principals now because it gave them that extra step to where to go.
It reminds me a lot of Marco Pierre White with his Michelin stars, how he's first chef to give him all back and going, fuck that. Because he didn't want to be in that rat race of only being known. Like his importance wasn't come down to and wasn't reliant on 3 stars. His importance was just to him, if people are leaving happy, that's good. And I watched a doco with him and he said it sort of made him focus on things that weren't real because all he wanted to do was keep his 3 stars because he thought that was important.
Oh, it's a different focus.
He was losing touch of just everything else that it takes to keep people happy there.
The chef side of my family is full on.
Yeah.
Like so my younger Jake he was the Vic Hotel Association Chef of the Year last year. So he's a phenomenal chef in pubs, restaurants, bistros and whatnot. I've got another younger brother, Zach, who's 32, or he could be 33 actually, might be wrong there. But he's worked at Attica and Ides. He's got a little restaurant, Bar Liberty in Melbourne. He just did an stage over in Poland and at Bar Rascal, and I got a 3-page spread in Vogue in Poland, which is the funniest thing I've ever. Like we gave it to him. Like it's a ridiculous thing. But he did competitions all the way through his apprenticeship and came second in every one of them.
Yeah,
and we always used to have a bit of a laugh and joke about calling the bridesmaid, but he loved it because it's that same thing you spoke about with Marco Pierre White. Like he got all the benefit of meeting all these celebrity chefs, but also meeting all these culinary geniuses and whatnot. But none of that spotlight which can dampen your career.
Yeah.
Because he's known as the workhorse.
Yeah.
You know, they all like one of my favorite things to ever see was he sent me a link a couple of years ago. Gordon Ramsay was in Melbourne at Zach's restaurant posting photos of Zach's food on his Instagram, and you go through Gordon's Instagram and he's never done it for anyone else.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, it's my little brother.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool. And then over in Poland too, he's cooked all these different food, and he's into his Polish food, which is our heritage as well. So it's really nice to go to his restaurant in Melbourne when I get to Melbourne and sit in there and have pierogi and all those dishes that remind me of mum and her family and whatnot. So, but you just got to get in and have a crack. But I know that I can only talk to Zach at maybe between 2 and 3 and maybe midnight.
Yeah.
Like, because he's in service.
Yeah.
He flew back from Poland, went to service that night.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just something that we've ever dealt with. And I touched on it earlier, like in hospo as a career, you're going to miss out on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we from big events, so bigger birthdays or some weddings or stuff like that, to just the good old Friday night barbecue.
Yeah.
Or watch the footy. Like you miss those things.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you gravitate to hospitality people a lot more. You know, I've had some phenomenal Tuesday nights over the years that would rival some of the people's Saturday nights, like, you know, back when I was younger. But you do what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that actually, it really ties into what we were going to talk about next. And that's about, you know, the fact that, well, one, you talked about family, right? And we do want to know more about you with family and stuff as well. But also tying the fact in that when you work in hospitality, you know, the whole mental health issues sort of stuff comes up as well, because you're working, you know, for a better lack of term, for everyday people.
That's exactly it.
It's a totally different atmosphere, different hours, different everything. Like I've actually said to my partner, I said, look, there's actually nothing wrong with you working nights. It's only if you're working nights but I'm working days, that's when the clash happens, and that's when mental health issues can start to arise, because obviously if you're having two different opposing, times, frames, and you're never seeing each other and all sort of stuff, it can get quite hard. So I was actually just going to say, I'd love to talk about the mental health part of hospitality with you, and and sort of just talk to you a little bit more about that, but also more about what it takes to work in hospitality, because you're a family man, and we'd love to get to know more about that. But what I was going to just say really quickly is we've just got to about the hour mark now. It's gone like that. Honestly, what we're going to do is, if you're right, still, we'll kick this over into a part 2.
Let's do it.
And so for all the listeners out there, this is episode 22. This is a part 1. Episode 23 will be the part 2. And we'll kick it over from there and leave you with a little bit of a teaser there. Let's deep dive into
sprinkle on
ready
top.
for dessert.
Just a little salt bay of...
This is just the chewy in the bottom of the drink.
That's it. Yeah, the half-chewed minty.
Yeah, exactly. And so for right now... if you want any of the details of what we do, it's all down below. If you're new to the podcast, all the details, links and everything are down below. We'll talk more about what Bart's links and stuff in the next episode. But yeah, we'll see you guys in episode 23 for part 2.
See you soon.
Thank you.
You don't spat on it.
No.
Huck tour.
No, I went dizzy for a second and I'd see the depth of the microphone. Yeah, I had a stroke.
Rolling on the river.
That's not John Fogerty, is it? Is that Creedence? No, it is Creedence? Yeah, it is Creedence.
Karaoke favourite, I think, for most Thursday nights.
Mate. Yeah. Do you have karaoke?
No, I can't anymore. I did 12 years of Thursday nights working in a bar.
Yeah. Aged you 20 years, I hear.
It's done a thing to me, and I still can hear Honey, I'm Home from this one chick.
Yeah.
She was the first singer every time.
Do you want to introduce?
Well, it's up to you, mate.
We've only met each other the last 10 minutes.
I know.
Ben and I are on 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's right. We have this thing where we put people on the spot. We're like, hey, do you want to introduce us? And then they're like, whoa, what do we do?
No, I can't. No.
Oh, yeah, what? Well,
that's the whole point. Yeah. It's all good, mate.